Nigerian National Oil Company now. The NNPC Limited is targeting 2 million barrels per day oil production by 2026. As ahead of that, the oil company announced that its exploration and production unit has hit 355,000 barrels per day output. That's a 36-year production achievement reported on December the 1st. Well, joining me virtually now from Ghana, Accra, to discuss this is Lucky Ighoyota, an energy ex-sector analyst or expert. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you on the Rice Exchange this evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, using the figure 355,000 barrels per day is the highest in 36 years. And this jump has sparked conversations around, operational reforms and new investment in the upstream asset. Let me ask you, what do you think drove the NNPC's sharp increase in a daily crude oil output or production?
Thank you very much for that question. From your remark, what you said is that it is as a result of reforms in the sector. You can attribute it to performance optimization of the upstream asset of the Nigerian oil and gas industry. 2025 appears to be a year that we've seen a reflection of what I'll call energy revival, given that the year is a recovery year for Nigeria. It's a year that we have actually recorded a lot of wins, especially when it has to do with daily production. So given some of the months that we're able to meet the OPEC quota and even surpassed it in many cases. Now that NNPC have been able to hit this mark in their own contribution to our daily output, is a laudable one, and is born out of their management discipline, and also some inputs that they have actually introduced in some of the reforms that they are carrying out, especially with the management that have had this year alone to work fully as a complete management. In 2023, where it was a half year on for the new government to come in. In 2024, they were trying to settle, and in this 2025, they had a full stretch year to operate. So we give it to the NNPC for adding that huge number to our daily output.
Okay. If you look at it, before now, Nigeria struggled to meet its OPEC quota. That's between 2023 and 2024 due to pipeline vandalism and a declining asset capacity. Of course, those were major issues around that time. But looking at the current record, how much did the NNPC achieve at its average daily output between 2023 and 2025? If you compare what we have as of today, and you have to look at between 2023 and 2025, what would you say changed now?
In 2023, the NNPC was able to produce about 203,000 barrels per day, comparing it to what we are earlier producing in 2025, which is about 312,000 barrels per day. If you take an absolute account of those numbers, you get about 109 barrels difference. And just in December 1st here, they've announced an upward production output of 355 that you have announced. I think those numbers speaks volumes. It speaks volume in the sense that a 103,000 barrels per day rise in production is no small feat, given some of the challenges in operating in Nigeria. Crude oil production itself is determined by three major factors. That is the cost, the price, and also the volume. The cost, I mean, the cost of seismic activity, the cost of liftings, the cost of carrying out upstream activities from the well to the export um, uh, um, terminals. The white price has to do with some external forces like geopolitics, geopolitics in the oil, in the global space, and also issues around energy transition and demand and supply. Those are the things that drives the price. Then volume itself has to do with probably physical discipline in government and also policy that shapes the industry. That's where the PIA comes in. The deliberate effort of the NNPC to imbibe the PIA as a law that must be applied in our oil and gas sector, and implementing the law according to its prescription has also helped in achieving this feat. So you you must allude all of these factors to why we're having these great numbers now in our oil in our daily output.
Great. Also, the government, of course, the NNPCs have repeatedly set ambitious production goals, but meeting them is another conversation entirely. Sometimes we say we're looking at 2 million. For instance, in this particular report, the government is currently looking at 2 million barrels per day. Do you think this higher level of production is sustainable as NNPC target 2 million barrels per day in 2026? Because that's the new target now.
Yes, it's very sustainable because we have enough reserve. We have enough reserve proven now about 37 billion barrels underneath the ground. So with the right things, leveraging on the right policies, like I said, the PI, and with the instrumentality of what they now call hydrocarbon asset securitization, where oil vendors have largely been tamed, especially with the introduction of the crude oil and gas asset security job that have been given to some contracting companies like Tantita and PINL that have actually added value to the operations of the oil and gas companies in Nigeria. I think the 2 million barrel is doable, even 3 million barrels, because Nigeria have the reserve. If we can leverage on, on, on digital the digital technology, AI, and also the human resource that we're endowed with, if we can put all of this together and do the right thing and have the right partnership, I think it's very achievable and doable. And with what we have seen in the last in the last 2 years, especially in this year 2025, I believe 2026 actually have a lot of positivity and for us to catch up with in the oil and gas sector.
Also, the NUPRC and of course the NMDPRA have reported, fluctuating levels of oil theft and vandalism, and this means that it's going down. But why some quarters claim improvement due to stepped up surveillance? Like you said, some contractors, were given, to watch over. That's the surveillance part of security. But again, the issue is that some are saying the losses remain significant, affecting revenue and investor confidence. Let me ask you, what are regulators and the industry saying about losses or theft? What are you hearing, the level of theft in Nigeria this year?
Yeah, there are pockets of theft, no doubt, here and there, but you can't compare it to what we used to have 10 years ago, 8 years ago, when crude oil vandalism was at its peak. It's no longer as rife as it used to be, given given some of the structural reforms and the involvement of stakeholders in the region. Undermining the host community, especially as the PI Act had prescribed for host community development trust to be fully engaged and carried along by the operators, we they call settlers. If those things are really addressed, I don't think we'll have some of the challenges we'll be having in terms of the losses we have been recording. I think this year we've not recorded huge numbers compared to what we've been getting. The numbers I may not be very, I may not have them handy now, but I know the numbers are quite low because as at last year we were still hovering around 9,000 barrels in some of the months. And
Just
in
before I
the
allow you to
past, you know,
go,
we dropped to
yes.
a record low of 400,000 barrels per day at some point in
Just,
this country
yes.
when we had
I'm going to allow you to go
even
now. Yeah. Yes.
targeted these 2 million and 3 million we are looking at for 2027
Okay.
and 2030, even 15 years ago. So I think the regulators are in sync with the gains
Mr. Ighoyota,
recorded
can you
so
hear me?
far. So I don't think
Can you hear me,
yes.
Mr. Ighoyota? Because of our time, just in 30 seconds, I mean, I understand the fact that the rate of oil theft is declining. But again, the report of recently that there's a seizure. I mean, recently there's a seized vessel allegedly carrying stolen oil belonging to Nigeria. So does this suggest oil theft can never be fully eliminated, even though we're having positive record that, you know, vandalism and thefts are decreasing gradually? So 30 seconds if you can do this.
Security is a global challenge, and the oil and gas sector is not isolated from the security challenge. You know, there are a lot of variables that are inherent in the oil and gas operation. So crude oil theft will definitely remain with the world and not just Nigeria. All we need to do is to heighten some of the things that we have initiated that have reduced the stealing, so that we'll not be having this kind of situations going forward.
Very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Ighoyota, for your time in this perspective on Nigerian oil industry. You have a great weekend, Mr. Ighoyota, an energy sector analyst.